Good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time of day it is, whoever you are, wherever you are. Welcome to the And Terry Show. The Jim and Terry. The Jim is missing. The empty seat waits my good friend Jim. In the meantime, conversations continue. Conversations, yeah, me, myself, and me. What am I up to this week? I am up to exploring a couple of things that I've found interesting. So here we go. I made some comments on a website about a Quranic prayer. And it was in the realm of using a microphone, a PA system, but head covering in a mosque, I'm assuming, and somebody was doing what I would call anything, even in a church, a Christian, or perhaps other traditions, I would call this performative art. Like maybe there's a spiritual intent. The people, I can't judge the heart of these people. But to me, listening, it sounds like a performance with all the accoutrement of performance, all the trappings of performance, all the passion of performance, all the skill and talent of a performance, all the syllabification, is that a word? All the vocalizations and utterances that require years of training and honing of skills. But on my comment, I received some very typical, what I would call stereotypical Muslim backlash. Is that right? Only a few comments, so it's not like I'm being trolled by the tens or hundreds or thousands, and who am I, after all, to even bother trolling? But some people, in their Islamic expansionist zealousness, feel the need to beat somebody else down. And, of course, the comments are all much sound and fury signifying nothing, variations on that Shakespearean theme, only because Shakespeare is not Muslim and not a Quranic scholar. It's more in the lines of, there's nothing intelligent that you have to say. Meanwhile, I was quite specific and outlined reasons why I found this to be performance and not perhaps weighing too much on the performance end of things and analyzing things that way. And yeah, tearing other people down, which I find interesting. It's usually something you would like to hear more discussion and discourse rather than the condescension and demeaning and dismissiveness of comments. But, people say what they're going to say, and you grow thick skin if you're doing anything in social media, so be it. But I thought, let me explore some things. So I've explored a few things, and one trending this week, so I expect some of this to be meeting some social media analysis, but it's the conversion of a former atheist, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And I think this is relatively recent, a few days, so it should be up there in people's awareness. You can look up her name. I'll leave a link in the description. But significant is that her journey in spirituality, if that's what you want to call it, in religion, in adherence to a set of beliefs or practices, goes from being raised as a Muslim, changing her mind to atheism, and then just recently embracing some form of Christianity. And what I found interesting was how it's one article here, and I'm just Googled her name, and God bless Ayaan Hirsi Ali. What can we learn about Ayaan Hirsi's conversion? All kinds of YouTube stuff. Why I am now a Christian. What does Ayaan Ali's conversion mean? A point of view. The unlikely conversion of an atheist, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Anyway, you can check it all up, and it's interesting to explore. What I found most interesting was this one by a website I tend to drop in and see what's going on. Rationality Rules. You can check up this fellow. His appearance is provocative. He looks very much like a Viking, but he's a rationalist, a humanist, an atheist. And his analysis of Ali's profession of faith is worth paying attention to, so I will leave a link in the description. His analysis was kind of interesting for me because he takes from her own words. So on the screen on his podcast, which is on YouTube, go the words of her profession of faith, and he discusses those words. Why did she choose those words? And it's interesting because when you think of conversion, you think of spiritual enlightenment, you think of the soul being quickened, the spirit of an individual, an emotional response to something. The Holy Spirit comes upon an individual and there's an outpouring of passion, of enlightenment, understanding, and all of a sudden everything is clear and there's a gratitude that permeates every cell in your body, gratitude for being forgiven. There's none of that in Ali's profession of faith, which makes this rather extraordinary. And what is extraordinary is that it is now being phrased and labeled and put in a cubbyhole that is now being labeled as political conversion, which probably is not new. I mean, if you didn't convert to Christianity in the early days of Christian expansion, you would probably have been tortured and probably converted, a political conversion. Not that you really believed it, but for the sake of the wellness of your and safety of your family, you would convert. In the Middle Ages, if it was the days of the Spanish Inquisition, you would say things that needed to be said in order to make a political conversion to spare your life, your family, your community. So it's probably nothing new. But it is striking for me to see the word conversion and to see a total political analysis of the rationale for that conversion. And the reasons were interesting to me. The reason that first came to mind was simply that there is a rise of what is labeled Islamism. And I'm questioning whether there is such a thing as Islamism, which is radical Islam, is another euphemism for it. I'm wondering whether it's just Islam itself that is problematic in modernity, problematic when facing Western liberal democracies. I'm wondering whether Islam has no place to grow but into the voids created by a tolerant Western liberal democracy, and whether that's in Europe or whether that's in North America. Well-meaning left, opening room through tolerance and respect, through First Amendment, through right to assemble, and now it's becoming taken over by violent mobs in America, in the UK, in Europe, in Canada. Protest that's out of hand. Yes, you have the right to assemble. Yes, you have the right to free speech. But when your free speech means the annihilation of another, that's hate. And we need to put some kind of a demarcation line that free speech is not free when you hate, when that speech is hate-filled, hate-riddled, and when your protest becomes violent, and when your belief that you are right becomes attacking businesses or enterprises or religious assembling, what do you call them? Well, in each tradition, there's a different way of talking about it, whether it's a storefront that is a Christian mission or whether it is a temple structure or whether it is a mosque. When these places of religious gatherings are defaced or somehow attacked, it is not peaceful. So I'm getting back to this grounds for conversion. Ayaan Hirsi's Ali's conversion is political, out of the fear of, one, radical Islam expanding into the West and creating social chaos. Number 2, the rise of authoritarian regimes throughout the world, including Turkey with Erdogan, including Russia with Putin, including Xi Jinping in China. And so in opposition to these things, she made her conversion to Christianity. But the third one is an interesting one, which is that in opposition to left-leaning wokeism, she decides that she hasn't had enough of political correctness or compassion or whatever she believes that the left is doing, and wants to create some boundaries on things that are appropriate and not appropriate. And when LGBTQ communities go in support of an Islamic State, a pro-Palestinian, I shake my head and wonder, you would be oppressed in that place. Why are you supporting it? So I can sort of understand all these reasons for her conversion and why it's being extolled in the media. The good news is that people are thinking, and to me that is important. And to find that there is an intellectual, rational reason for embracing Christian thought is encouraging as well. So there you go. You can look it up for yourself. All of this stuff is available on Google, YouTube, whatever your social media platform is. Go to something that embraces the views, the contrarians, the ones who disagree, who find it interesting and analyze, as well as the reasons why people might embrace her story and hold her up as the latest saint in Christendom. Very interesting to follow who follows this conversion and why they extol it, attack it, analyze it, embrace it, oppose it. All interesting stuff. So there's something that's been coming across my crosshairs of awareness. And I try to switch my focus every once in a while on things. But Islam is on my mind a lot because of things in Canada. The social protests caught me by surprise as a Canadian. And I'm wondering to what extent others are surprised. If you've been surprised by the amount of hate, the tearing down of posters about children who are still being held hostage, hate, all kinds of things happening that surprise me in Canada. Is Islam to blame or woke liberalism? I don't know. Write in, tell me about it. The Jim and Terry Show, signing off for now. Bye-bye.